if I have to carry this for the rest of my life, then it's going to mean something. This is why I tell my story. Because this is part of my healing journey. But over time, I've also realized that it's much bigger than that. I want to make sure what happened to me as a kid isn't meaningless. I remember the day realizing that I wasn't alone. And I know that sounds obvious, but that's what I believed all my life. I wasn't the only survivor in my case, and I know that I am not the only survivor in Alaska. I'm not the only survivor who's looked at our laws, at our systems, our institutions, and wondered why change moves so slowly when the need is so obvious. And statistically, in Alaska, there are thousands of people carrying stories they've either never been able to start or finish telling. That is also why I tell my story. Because I know what the cost is of spending a lifetime surviving instead of living is. I know what it's like to wake up at 50 years old and realize that you've been coping for decades without understanding why. I don't want that life for another child, and especially boys. Boys are so often overlooked, mainly because they're taught to be tough, to keep quiet, to figure it out on their own. I know what that road looks like. It leads to decades of carrying something that was never theirs to carry. We can do better than that. I want kids to know that they can be heard. I want survivors to know that you're not alone and you have a voice. I want parents, teachers, police officers, prosecutors, lawmakers, community leaders, all to lean in and learn from us because we have so much to offer. Because survivors don't just carry pain, right? They carry perspective and insight. And if we're willing to listen, they can help build a safer Alaska. That's why I tell my story. Not because I enjoy revisiting it all, but because I believe every child deserves more than a lifetime in survival. We all deserve a chance to live a full life. So if you're a survivor and you're listening to this right now, maybe you're wondering if your voice matters, or maybe you've convinced yourself that no one wants to hear your story. I want you to know you don't have to carry it alone anymore. Your story doesn't have to become a speech, and it doesn't have to become a video, right? It doesn't have to look like mine. Just your voice. But if your voice is telling you it's time, then use it. Because Alaska, or anywhere for that matter, doesn't need more awareness. It needs more survivor voices helping shape what comes next. My name is Scott with Mighty AK. We're voices of courage and forces for change.